At first, she felt like she'd finally broken free, like a bird released from its cage, soaring high on the promise of endless skies. Suddenly, she had all this space to breathe, to think, to rediscover herself without the weight of us. It was intoxicating. No more compromises, no more waiting, no more explaining herself to someone who didn't always get it. Freedom felt like a fresh breeze after being trapped in a storm for so long. She told herself this was exactly what she needed. She deserved this. And maybe, in those early days, she even believed it. But freedom, she would soon realize, isn't always what it seems. At first, it's loud. The silence is filled with the noise of her own excitement and the distractions she chases. New faces, new places, new possibilities. She fills her calendar and her mind, telling herself she's moving on, thriving. But underneath all that noise, there's a quiet space that starts to grow, one she can't quite fill no matter how hard she tries. The kind of silence that isn't peaceful but empty. The kind of space that makes her wonder, did I really want this? Or did I just want to be free from the discomfort of us? The illusion of freedom is this tricky thing. It promises liberation, but sometimes hands you loneliness wrapped in disguise. It tells you that being alone is the answer, but what it doesn't say out loud is that being alone isn't the same as being free. Freedom isn't just about no longer having someone in your life. It's about finding yourself in a way that no one else can do for you. And that's hard. It's a journey that demands more courage than she expected. Because the freedom she craved isn't about the absence of another person. It's about the presence of peace inside her own heart. She starts to realize that freedom isn't just about reclaiming time or space. It's about reclaiming meaning. It's about understanding what she truly wants, what truly nourishes her soul, and what she's willing to hold on to even when it's uncomfortable. The freedom she thought she wanted. It's only real when it's filled with clarity, not confusion, with love, not loneliness, with strength, not regret. And this moment, the moment she thought she'd never have to face again, is the moment when that illusion begins to crack. The moment she realizes that maybe, just maybe, freedom without love isn't freedom at all. It's just an empty room waiting to be filled with something real. And in that quiet, that space between the past and what comes next, she starts to understand something powerful. Sometimes letting go isn't about losing freedom. It's about losing the illusion of it. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup, not because she's weak, but because she's finally strong enough to see what freedom truly means. There's a moment you don't see coming. It sneaks up quietly, almost like a whisper you barely catch. Maybe it's a song playing softly on the radio, the one that used to be your song, the soundtrack to moments you thought would last forever. Or maybe it's a scent in the air, something as simple as the smell of rain on the pavement, or the faint trace of his cologne lingering in a space you both once shared. Whatever it is, it pulls you back without warning, like a thread tugging gently at your heart, unraveling memories you thought you'd tucked away safely. In that moment, time seems to pause. Suddenly, you're not just remembering, you're reliving. You hear the laughter, see the smiles, feel the warmth of a hand in yours. It's the kind of memory that floods your mind with color and light, so vivid it takes your breath away. The details come rushing back. The way he looked at you when you said something silly, the quiet mornings filled with shared coffee and easy conversation, the comfort of knowing someone was always there, steady and real. And it's in that moment you realize something you hadn't wanted to admit. Those memories aren't just echoes from the past. They're reminders of what was once real, what was once good. They break through the wall you built to protect yourself. And suddenly, the story you told yourself, that you're better off without him, feels incomplete, maybe even a little hollow. Because these aren't just memories. They're proof that what you had wasn't just a passing phase. It was something meaningful. You try to push it away, tell yourself it's just nostalgia playing tricks on you. But it's more than that. It's a moment of truth, a pause in the chaos where you see clearly the space he once filled and the space that now feels strangely empty. It's the moment when the past doesn't just live in your mind, but sneaks into your present, coloring everything with a mix of warmth and sadness. You feel the weight of what you lost, and it's heavier than you expected. That triggering memory reminds you that love isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes, it's quiet and steady, like a gentle heartbeat beneath the noise of life. And when it's gone, you realize how much you took it for granted. The simple, everyday moments that, in hindsight, were the most extraordinary of all. You begin to understand that the love you had was more than just a feeling. It was a safe place, a home for your heart. And now, that home feels distant, even if the walls haven't completely disappeared. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup. The moment when memories stop being just memories and start feeling like missed chances. It's not about dwelling in the past, but about recognizing that sometimes the heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. Because when those memories come rushing back, they don't just remind you of what you lost. They remind you of what you still want. After the breakup, when the dust starts to settle and the initial rush of freedom fades, something else begins to take hold, a quiet, persistent voice that urges her to look around and compare. She starts noticing the new faces, the new conversations, the new connections, and for a while, she convinces herself she's exploring fresh possibilities. But soon enough, a different kind of comparison begins. Not the hopeful kind, but the kind that digs beneath the surface and unsettles her in ways she didn't expect. She watches others move on, see others find comfort and joy, and she wonders why it doesn't feel the same for her. She scrolls through social media, glancing at photos and posts that paint pictures of new beginnings and happy endings. And she starts measuring those moments against her own. The smiles aren't quite as wide, the laughter not as deep. The conversations don't flow as easily. The silence between texts feels heavier. What she thought would be exciting now feels oddly hollow. It's in these quiet moments that the comparison trap tightens its grip. She begins to see the difference between what she has now and what she had before. Not just in quantity, but in quality. She realizes that the new connections lack something vital: understanding. That deep knowing that comes from time, patience, and shared stories. The way he used to finish her sentences or read her moods without her saying a word. That can't be replicated with strangers or casual acquaintances. What's hardest is admitting to herself that what she had wasn't perfect. There were challenges, disagreements, things left unsaid. But beneath it all was a foundation, something real and strong, even if flawed. Now she's surrounded by possibilities but starved for connection, and the realization hits: not all love is the same, not all bonds are equal, and not all relationships teach you the same lessons. She begins to understand that comparison isn't just about measuring others against what she had. It's about recognizing that some relationships are rare because they were built on more than just attraction or convenience. They were built on commitment, trust, and a shared history. Those are the things that can't be rushed or faked. And when she measures new moments against that, the difference isn't just noticeable. It's stark. This trap of comparison is cruel because it convinces her that what she's missing can't be found again. It tells her that the love she lost was unique in ways she didn't appreciate until it was gone. She starts to long for the kind of connection that makes you feel seen and safe, for the kind of partnership that challenges you and supports you, for the kind of love that doesn't just fill space but fills your soul. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup, the moment she realizes that not all love is created equal, and sometimes the hardest lesson is understanding the value of what you had only after it's no longer there. Because when the comparison trap catches you, it doesn't just make you look back, it makes you see clearly what you almost lost. There's no thunderous moment when it happens. No dramatic scene with tears or shouting. It sneaks up on her in the quiet spaces between the noise, those small, unguarded moments where her mind drifts and her heart catches up. It's a realization that doesn't come with fanfare, but settles in gently, like a soft whisper beneath everything else. She's scrolling through old messages, pausing on a text she never sent, or maybe she's walking past a familiar place and suddenly feels the weight of absence press down. The world keeps moving around her, but inside, something shifts. It's not a decision she makes in the heat of emotion. It's an understanding that unfolds slowly, quietly, until it's impossible to ignore. She realizes she misses more than just the person. She misses the comfort, the connection, the small rituals that once made her feel seen and safe. And in that silence, she sees clearly what she took for granted: the way he listened without judgment, the way his presence made the world feel less overwhelming. It's a moment of clarity that stings because it comes too late. What makes this realization so powerful is that it isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention or beg for sympathy. Instead, it quietly rearranges her perspective, gently peeling back the defenses she built. Suddenly, she's not just remembering the good times, she's feeling their absence in a way that's deep and personal. It's like waking up from a dream and realizing the bed beside you is empty. You notice every missing piece. The weight of a hand you're no longer holding, the sound of laughter you no longer hear. And it's in this stillness, this quiet acknowledgement, that regret begins to bloom. Not as an angry accusation, but as a soft achi, a recognition that maybe, just maybe, she didn't fully appreciate what she had until it was gone. She understands now that love isn't just about the big moments, but the everyday ones. The shared glances, the inside jokes, the simple comfort of knowing someone's there. Those are the moments that build a life together, the ones that don't always make the highlight reel but hold everything together. This silent realization is also a turning point. It's where the story changes from what if to what now. It's the beginning of a new awareness, a deeper understanding of herself and what she truly values. It's the moment she starts to question the choices she made, not to blame herself, but to learn and grow. It's the moment she sees that regret isn't a weakness. It's a sign of a heart that's still capable of love and reflection. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup, not because she's lost, but because she's found clarity. Because sometimes the loudest truths come in the quietest moments. There's a strange kind of rewind that happens inside her mind long after the breakup. It's not a rewind filled with anger or regret alone, but one that plays every moment, good and bad, like an old movie she thought she'd erased. It's a mental journey back through time, and suddenly, she's watching herself with fresh eyes. She recalls the fights that felt like the end of the world, but also the quiet moments that never made it to anyone's highlight reel. The mornings when he made her coffee just right, or the way he'd hold her hand in public like the world belonged to them. At first, she might resist this rewind, pushing away memories that sting. But eventually, she can't help but pause on those little things. The laughter that came easy when they were together, the way he knew her without her having to explain. She sees now how love wasn't just about grand gestures or perfect moments, but the everyday acts of kindness that built their story. The more she rewinds, the more she realizes how deeply she was loved, even in ways she didn't recognize at the time. It's in this emotional rewind that she begins to understand what was lost. Not just the person, but the safety net they created together. She remembers the times he stayed when it would have been easier to walk away, the nights they talked until the stars faded, the way he believed in her when she struggled to believe in herself. These memories aren't just nostalgia, they're lessons wrapped in love, reminding her of what true connection looks like when you're willing to stay, even when things get tough. This rewind doesn't let her escape the reality of the breakup, it makes it more real. But it also opens her eyes to the depth of what she had. It's a bittersweet reflection, where she sees the imperfections alongside the beauty, the mistakes alongside the love. And in doing so, she starts to grasp that love is never perfect, but when it's real, it's worth fighting for. She realizes that sometimes it's only after the rewind that the heart understands what the mind missed. The rewind rewires her perspective, showing her that love is not just a feeling to be chased, but a commitment to be nurtured. It's in this moment that regret begins to grow, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity and longing for what might have been. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup. The moment when the past isn't just a memory, but a living, breathing part of her story that calls her to reflect, to feel, and to learn. Because sometimes looking back is the first step to moving forward. Regret doesn't always announce itself with words. Sometimes it lives quietly in the spaces between sentences, in the text left unsent, and in the glances cast toward a screen that still holds traces of a story unfinished. She doesn't say it out loud, maybe not even to herself, but the regret is there, written in the small hesitations, the sighs that slip when no one is watching, and the moments when her heart betrays her by whispering what her mind refuses to admit. It's in the silence of a late night, scrolling through messages that once held promise, now just reminders of what slipped away. It's in the pause before she deletes a photo, the way her fingers linger over the screen, unable to let go completely. She finds herself checking a profile she promised she wouldn't, not because she's looking for something new, but because somewhere deep inside, she's still hoping for a connection that might never come again. The unspoken regret is subtle, but it's powerful. It doesn't roar or demand attention. It simply exists, quietly shaping her days and coloring her thoughts. It's the H behind the smile, the weight behind the laughter, the question that lingers long after the conversation ends. What if I had chosen differently? What if I had fought harder, stayed longer, or simply held on a little tighter? This kind of regret isn't about blame or shame, it's about longing. It's a recognition that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought within ourselves, between what we want to believe and what we know to be true. It's about the courage it takes to admit that letting go was painful, that moving on wasn't as easy as it seemed. And sometimes it's about the hope that somewhere, in the quiet corners of a heart, there's still room for what once was. She carries this regret in the quiet moments, when the world is still, and there's nothing left to distract her. It's in the way she hesitates before responding to a message, the way she replays conversations in her mind, wondering if things could have been different. And though she doesn't say it out loud, that unspoken regret is a testament to the depth of what she felt and what she lost. This is the moment she starts to regret the breakup, not with loud declarations, but with quiet honesty. Because sometimes the most profound truths are spoken in silence, and the most real regrets are the ones we never say out loud. When we look closely at the journey after a breakup, it's clear that regret doesn't arrive all at once. It unfolds quietly, in moments both big and small. It starts with the illusion of freedom, the excitement of newfound space that slowly reveals its loneliness. Then come the memories that catch her off guard, pulling her back to a love she thought she'd left behind. She finds herself caught in the comparison trap, realizing that not all connections are equal and that what she had was rare. In the silence that follows, she comes to a deep, quiet realization of what truly mattered and what was lost. Her heart rewinds through every moment, the good and the bad, and understands with fresh clarity the depth of the love she experienced. And through it all, the unspoken regret lingers, not loud or demanding, but profound and real, written in the spaces where words fail. This journey teaches us that regret is not weakness, but a sign of a heart that's learning, growing, and finally seeing the truth. It reminds us that sometimes what we lose is not just a person, but a part of ourselves we didn't fully understand until it was gone. And in that understanding, there's hope, not for what was, but for what's possible when we carry these lessons forward. Because this moment, this realization, is never just an ending. It's the beginning of something new.